The Speaker at work.
Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, to most humbly beseech thee, do send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations, and grant that, we having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial afflictions, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace, and tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
This Honourable House now resumes its sitting. Call of the roll.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Holness, Mr. Bartlett,
members, please, members, please, we're doing the call of the roll.
Dr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Samuda, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malawu-Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Terrell, Ms. Smith, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Witter, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Miss Crawford, Miss Daly, Miss Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Miss Hamilton, Miss Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Miss Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Miss Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Siblist, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wright.
Members, I just wish this afternoon to welcome all persons joining us here in presence and online. And I want to pay a special welcome this afternoon to Her Excellency, Mrs. Judith Slater, the British High Commissioner to Jamaica. She has truly become a friend of the Parliament and the people of Jamaica. It is with deep sadness this afternoon that the House of Representatives of Jamaica learned of the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the 8th of September this month. For sure it is the people of Jamaica held Queen Elizabeth II in high regard. For us, the Queen was the embodiment of fortitude, dignity, and grace. Her Majesty demonstrated the importance of being diligent in duty and in service to all people. We will remember the Queen's lifelong support for the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, of which this Parliament is a part. I extend heartfelt sympathy to the members of the royal family on the passing of one who has truly made such a significant contribution to the fabric of modern world history. The Honourable House of Representatives of Jamaica requests His Excellency, the Governor-General, to convey to Buckingham Palace, on our behalf, our sincere expressions of deep sorrow at the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, as tributes are being paid, the Most Honourable Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, the Leader of Opposition Business in the House, as well as the Minister responsible for legal reform, legal and constitutional reform, will at this time pay tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Since her passing, the world has been focusing on her legacy, and under our system of government, she was the only head of state that most of us had ever known. Governors General, Prime Ministers, Ministers, Senators, and Members of Parliament came and went, but Her Majesty the Queen remained a constant figure, representing continuity and stability in a changing world. Madam Speaker, we had unfinished business with Her Majesty, but we will pursue them with her successor, King Charles. At this time, Madam Speaker, I ask you to invite the Prime Minister to pay his tribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues, and I acknowledge in the High Commissioner Slater. On Thursday, the 8th of September 2022, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II passed away at Balmoral Castle, Scotland. She celebrated her 96th birthday on the 21st of April 2022. Queen Elizabeth, who succeeded her father, King George VI, upon his death on the 6th of February 1952, reigned over the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the territories and realm countries of the Commonwealth, for 70 years and 214 days, the longest reign of any British monarch, and indeed one of the longest reigning monarchs in history. Her long and transformational reign saw the world go through seismic changes to the evolution of the Commonwealth, the end of the Cold War era, and even most recently, she would have seen through the pandemic. She transformed the monarchy to maintain its relevance in an era of decolonization. Her reign is filled with many firsts. In 1991, she became the first sovereign from the British royal family to address the United States Congress. In her remarks, she revealed a bit of her philosophy. Some people believe that power grows from the barrel of a gun, she said. So it can, but history shows that it never grows well, nor for very long. Force, in the end, is sterile. We have gone a better way. Our societies rest on mutual agreement, on contract, and on consensus. Her ability to adapt was perhaps best exemplified by her historic visit to the Republic of Ireland in 2011, the first by a British monarch in a century. Notwithstanding the challenges presented by the varying cries and turbulent periods of change, Queen Elizabeth remained actively engaged with citizens and people across the globe. She was the most traveled of any of her British predecessors and visited over 100 countries on behalf of the crown. She endeared herself the world over, irrespective of nationality, not only for her support and patronage of countless charities and programs, but also as a symbol of the dignity of the British throne. With quiet and confident strength, accompanied by a calm, warm, and gracious demeanor, she captured the hearts of many, including the Jamaican populace, who affectionately remember her various visits to our beloved island. Indeed, she visited Jamaica 6 times. The first occasion was in November 1953, only 5 months after her June coronation, during which she opened Jamaica's first highway, the Queen's Highway, which stretched from Discovery Bay in St. Anne to Bengal Bay Bridge at the border of Trelawney and St. Anne. She visited once each subsequent decade, in 1996, 1975, 1983, 1994, and 2002. Queen Elizabeth knighted all 6 of our Governor Generals and our first 2 Prime Ministers, as well as several other notable Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, I was present in this very chamber as a newly elected Member of Parliament then, when Her Majesty addressed the joint sitting of the Parliament during her last visit in 2002, the year of her Golden Jubilee and the year of Jamaica's 40th anniversary of independence. On that occasion, her address provided context for the relationship between Jamaica and the British monarchy, but importantly, offered insight into the many challenges facing Jamaica, reinforcing the value of democratic ideals and the rule of law. On the occasions when I had the privilege of meeting Her Majesty, I found her to be warm and engaging, with an expressed fondness for Jamaica. It was therefore a unique and humble honor to have introduced her last year prior to her virtual address to the heads of government at the 26th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which was held in Glasgow, which we commonly call COP26. Queen Elizabeth will be long remembered for her constant and unparalleled dedication to the British monarchy and unswerving commitment and service to the Commonwealth and all territories. As she declared on her 21st birthday, on the 21st of April 1947, nearly 4 years before she would become queen, she would devote her whole life to the service of all. She lived out this commitment with grace, effortless charm, and poise, while guarding the splendor, pageantry, and majesty of the institution of the monarchy. Her Majesty has undoubtedly written her epitaph in official as well as popular memory as an inspiration for a life of service, for her loyalty to family and subjects, and for her endearing charisma and modesty through it all. May this example of service, dedication, and commitment continue to inspire us all. Madam Speaker, we are saddened by the loss of Her Majesty, and will always remember her shining example. Hers was a remarkable tenure and an unmatched record of service and leadership. She was a compass of certainty, truth, respect, and compassion. Her passing marks the end of an era for the people of the United Kingdom and indeed the world. But it also marks a new beginning for the Jamaican state. Upon the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and by virtue of the Ascension Act of the United Kingdom and Jamaica's Constitution, His Majesty King Charles III has succeeded Her Majesty as the constitutional sovereign. His Majesty King Charles III has long been a proponent for attention to climate change and an advocate for a green and sustainable economy, including through his business ventures undertaken by the Duchy of Cornwall. Since his designation in 2018 as the Queen's successor as head of the Commonwealth, he has championed the cause of small island developing states through his various foundations and patronages, primarily the Prince's Trust, which he inherited, and the Prince's Foundation, which he started. He has helped countless young people the world over to achieve their potential. Here in Jamaica, his work through the Rosetown Foundation has been transformational. Madam Speaker, even as Jamaica prepares to redefine its sovereign arrangements the government and people of Jamaica stand with the royal family and the government and people of the United Kingdom, the territories and realms, as well as the rest of the Commonwealth in this time of sorrow. We offer our heartfelt condolences on our loss. Jamaica will be represented at the funeral on the 19th of September by His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, and myself. May Her Majesty's soul rest in peace, and may God guide His Majesty King Charles III during this period of his reign.
Madam Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition will be arriving shortly to pay his own tribute. And he has apologized for his late arrival, but that is beyond his control. But, Madam Speaker, if I could briefly, on behalf of the Opposition, and we do have other members who will be paying tribute, to mark Her Majesty's passing with tremendous sympathy from our side to, indeed, the family of Her late Majesty, and indeed peoples across the world who have been associated with the British monarchy for these many years. I, Madam Speaker, have had some relationship with the family because my mother told me that even though I was conceived in East Kingston and Port Royal, that my actual birth was timed so that I could be born at the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas. That hospital was duly opened by Princess Margaret in 1955. And yes, I gather it was the best hospital in Jamaica at the time. So from those days, I start to inquire into the family. And you know, in spite of all that can be said, I think it is arguably one of the institutions that the world has to study to understand its longevity, the fact that Her Majesty, in her time, has distinguished herself as somebody with tremendous humility, calmness, and friendliness. I've had the opportunity of meeting her on a number of occasions, not only when she visited Jamaica, but I have been associated with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, for example, and she has been very keen on the work of the CPA and, of course, the Commonwealth. In fact, I remember meeting her one-on-one on Commonwealth Day in about 2006 in London. And I was very impressed that she would have taken the time to come and interface with so many members of us who were visiting at the time. And even this year, when the Commonwealth was celebrating her, what jubilee was it? Her Platinum Jubilee. There was a service this year when three of us who were attending the CPA conference, we actually went to Westminster Abbey for service that was scheduled to last for 1 hour. It lasted 1 hour promptly, but we were really impressed by the tributes that were outpouring, even though she was unable to be present. And for so many reasons, I want to record my sympathies and those of the opposition at this time as we mourn her passing. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the Leader of Opposition Business has acquitted himself so well anything I say
He
will
always
be merely
does.
surplusage. But
He
just
always
to say
does.
that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is somebody that has enjoyed the admiration and indeed love of many, many people all around the world, not just in her home country of the United Kingdom, but also in countries overseas, members of the Commonwealth and beyond. Her tenure of the office of Queen has been so long-lived that it has really been an intergenerational experience, so that most of us in this room, I would assume, have never known any other person as being our head of state here in Jamaica. And that continuity means that her demise, her passing, does feel like the end of an era. The sentiments that we feel, I think, are largely out of the high personal regard that she has managed to garner because of her decency, her astute management of her role. And I think there can be no doubt that she has been a very effective monarch for the United Kingdom. She has had to maneuver numerous crises over the long tenure that she reigned. Personal crises within her family, political crises within the United Kingdom, and international crises in which the world has been embroiled. And she has done so effectively. And I think she has probably left the monarchy as strong as she could, given the trends of the modern world. And of course, one of the trends of the modern world, as relates to Jamaica, is to complete the process of our independence, which we on this side have been advocating for many, many years, and which we are happy that the Prime Minister has this year, earlier this year, indicated that the government is also committing itself to. This means no disrespect to any individual, to Her Majesty the Queen, or indeed her successor, the new King, King Charles III, but rather is an affirmation of the need of our people to have a head of state who is a Jamaican, born here, and with whom our people can identify readily. We very much look forward to that process being expedited. We are quite concerned, indeed disappointed, that no progress has been made thus far as we are aware. And we would like to see that proceed with alacrity, and indeed feel that this important historic juncture with the transition of the realm from the former head of state, the former Queen, to the new head of state, the new King, affords us an opportunity to redouble our commitment, or reaffirm it, and redouble our efforts to get it done. It can only be done by way of consensus, and happily I believe that consensus exists. There are other issues which I could speak to, but I don't think this is an appropriate moment to do that. Suffice it to say that we wish the family of Her Majesty, and indeed the people of Great Britain who are mourning her, we express our sympathies and condolences to them, and salute her memory as somebody who was an international figure which, generally speaking, attracted the admiration of many, many people around the world. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, permit me to acknowledge the presence of the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Judith Slater. Madam Speaker, the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, whose 70-year reign made her the longest reigning monarch in British history, marks the end of an era and new beginnings, not only for the monarchy, but also for members of the Commonwealth realm, like Jamaica, for which she was head of state. In expressing my sincere condolences, I believe each member of her extended and immediate family has found much comfort in how well and admirably she discharged her duties. It is said that one of Queen Elizabeth II's greatest achievements was the reinvention of the sovereign's role. Having inherited a cipher monarchy, she kept the crown above party politics, although always fully engaged with the political world. Indeed, Madam Speaker, she was the political figure who was apolitical and above party. The grace and remarkably formidable political skill with which she handled her often difficult and delicate constitutional role were widely acknowledged by leaders and commentators the world over. Through her weekly audiences with the Prime Minister, she became a valued confidant. In fact, Madam Speaker, her Prime Ministers often paid a tribute to her political wisdom and knowledge, which resulted from her years of experience and diligence in reading state papers. Harold Wilson remarked that to attend the weekly audience unprepared was like being caught at school not having done your homework. Her wisdom and unceasing sense of duty meant that she was widely viewed with a combination of respect, esteem, awe, and affection, which transcended nations, classes, and generations. Only very occasionally and briefly did the Queen allow her own political views to surface. For example, in 2014, her carefully worded appeal to Scots to think carefully about their vote in the independence referendum was widely and clearly rightly interpreted as an intervention on behalf of the Union. Madam Speaker, it is said that Republican critics of the monarchy had long given up demanding its immediate abolition. They accepted that the Queen's personal popularity rendered their aim impracticable while she was still alive. The founding fathers of independent Jamaica had such respect for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II that they made it very difficult for us to change our form of government from a constitutional monarchy. Even though we have now commenced our process to make the change, Madam Speaker, until the people of Jamaica say so, we acknowledge His Majesty King Charles III as head of state. It is my fervent hope that the new beginning will bring a proper reconciliation with the colonial past. The Queen is dead, Madam Speaker. Long live the King.
No. Madam Speaker. Give me two, man. I was getting sanitized. That's all right. Madam Speaker, I rise to add my few words to this solemn moment and occasion. I am a Jamaican, where we respect the sanctity of life, and where we know only too well that the passing of a family member does create a void in the family. We are used to, Madam Speaker, making sure that we do extend our sympathies to the family of the deceased. On this occasion, I want to do that as well. And I know also, I want to do that as well. And so, Madam Speaker, I extend sympathies to the family members of the Queen and all her people. But I also speak, Madam Speaker, as a descendant of field slaves on Mr. Brown's plantation. And therefore, I could not extend the sympathies without my mind straying to some of the other dark and ugly aspects of her reign. I have no intention, Madam Speaker, to go into the details, but as an individual who, by virtue of the color of my skin and where I come from, I live a reality that has been determined by our colonial past. I stand right here representing some individuals who have the same cultural heritage that I do. And I will not for 1 second be silenced or be quietened because I happen to be in the House of Parliament. After all, this is the people's house. This is a house, all the people's house. Some might want to speak of the one, but I would like to speak of the many. And that is the reason why I stand, Madam Speaker. I am duty-bound while I'm extending sympathies to also place on record that the outstanding issues of reparatory justice and being a full, independent and sovereign country must be something that we do not leave behind. And others have said that, and I'm pleased to hear them say that. Madam Speaker, I would have expected that protocol and being polite would have required a period of mourning. I'm surprised, though, that in Jamaica we are actually mourning longer than Britons, than even Britain. Suffice it to say, Madam Speaker, as I take my seat, Madam Speaker, I am proud as that great-great-granddaughter of a field slave on Mr. Brown's plantation to have the opportunity to place on record the feelings at this time of my families, my friends and others who still have outstanding business and who cannot rest until those things have been taken care of. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I pondered long and hard about being in the House at this time, in the first instance, and secondly, to make my own remarks on this occasion. But I feel compelled to do that. I feel compelled. You know, Madam Speaker, it was last week or the week before, we had a similar occasion when two persons Yeah, just recently we had the occasion to pay tribute to two individuals who served this parliament and this country. The former member, Dr. Marco Brown, and Mr. Edley Deans, former clerk of this house. And we did so clearly in our minds, reflecting on the contributions that those two individuals have made to this parliament and to the country. We could recognize, we could relate. I remember even when Dr. Brown's tributes were being given, many, including myself, never served with him. But we could appreciate what he did during his tenure. I could for Mr. Deans. I struggled in my mind on this occasion for what those contributions have been to our parliament and to our people. You know, Madam Speaker, there are some very uncomfortable truths that we don't like to talk about. But they are truths nonetheless. And if we close our eyes and ears to them, they don't go away. And if we do that, quite frankly, Madam Speaker, we become hypocrites. Speaker of the convenient things. And so I was delighted to hear my colleague from Southwest St. Andrew made those remarks. Madam Speaker, 70 years of the Queen's reign. 60 of those was during our independence, and 10 was during our colonial past. That is a matter of fact. What has happened during that period by the state, presided over by the governments of the time, is a fact, not an opinion. It's a fact. We can't pretend as if it never happened and try to sweep it under the carpet because it's convenient so to do, and it's not so pleasant. Madam Speaker, remnants of those remain up to today. Remnants of those remain up to today that we can't deny. I have come to appreciate the best way to deal with an unfortunate past is to face it, acknowledge it, and at the very least, if you believe it's, sincerely believe it's wrong, to make a humble apology for that wrong. That's the very least. I do it every day. Every wrong that I do, that I might have done, and in reflection I realize it shouldn't have done, I apologize to those who have been affected. Well, it depends on what offend you. So, Madam Speaker, this is what I'm talking about. These things of which I raise are not so nice. Yes, you can say anything you want to say.
All right, guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, hello.
So, Madam Speaker, like my colleague from Southwest, St. Andrew, I believe, yeah man, plenty of them around still. Madam Speaker, I heard the Prime Minister spoke, and I heard my leader of opposition business spoke. And he said he spoke of all of us. I could not sit here and let the record reflect that I concur with those. I don't. And that's my sincere position. And I just want to register it. I, like my colleague from Southwest St. Andrew, speak for others outside of here who elected us too. All of us, we were elected by all of the rest of Jamaica, not a select few. And we have a duty to represent them. It is on that basis I posit my comments this evening.
I now invite the opposition spokesperson on foreign affairs to pay her tribute on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II.
Thank you, Madam
Tribute
Speaker.
on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And my I just want to acknowledge the presence of the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Judith Slater, who is with us this afternoon. Madam Speaker, the Queen personified strength, grace, and determination. She was a true definition of duty to country. Her 70-year reign was the second Elizabeth age and saw much dramatic change both in culture and society worldwide. And may her soul rest in peace, and we extend sympathy to her children and her grandchildren. Now her death places the United Kingdom at a new crossroads to bend the arc of history towards justice. From our part of the world, Madam Speaker, we must not forget that Jamaica is still a realm of the British monarchy. We have watched the political developments over the past few years and the instability in Great Britain. The country's voice, Madam Speaker, is perhaps not as prominent as it once used to be. And perhaps now, with the death of the Queen, it has a unique opportunity to redefine its role in its face of its history moving forward. One issue comes to mind as a member of Parliament in a former British colony. And we're all aware, Madam Speaker, each and every one of us in here, of the evils of slavery, which are still alive and present. So is a question of the wealth gained by the United Kingdom, including the monarchy from its empire. Indeed, Commonwealth nations around the world are united in our differences in the belief in the importance of reparative justice. We would like to see Britain perhaps face up to the legacy of some of its participation in this reality, and to acknowledge its history and the consequences thereof, and begin to take some concrete steps to rectify it. As the world watches keenly King Charles and the new Prime Minister Truss take the reins of the country, they have a unique opportunity to courageously redefine Britain's image into action, not with what we call in Jamaica a bag of mouth, with outdated platitudes intended to make people momentarily feel nice, but with real action. Madam Speaker, time moves faster today, much quicker than it did in 1953 when Queen Elizabeth ascended the throne. Leaders like the King and Prime Minister Truss must urgently recognize that Britain's approach to its past has been and continues to be misaligned with current expectations of their former colonies. It is time to correct their historical wrongs by resetting its political, economic, and social systems for future generations. If not, we in Jamaica will only watch that country walk alone backward into the future with its leaders' eyes closed. As we mourn the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, may her soul rest in peace and light perpetual shine upon her. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Prime Minister and colleague parliamentarians for paying their tribute here today to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and to thank the British High Commissioner for gracing us with her presence. And as I conclude the tributes, I just wish to make some closing remarks. I want to quote a quote from Her Majesty. She said, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong." End of quote. When in 1947, then Princess Elizabeth spoke those now immortalized words, little did she know that very soon after she would have been elevated to a position of global prominence, and to bear on her shoulders the future relations between the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, of which she would be queen, and a number of countries, including Jamaica, where she would serve as head of state. Her Majesty conducted the affairs of state with alacrity and a recognition of the diversity of the people she would lead. Within this diversity, Madam Speaker, she always recognized the different aims, the different aspirations, and hopes of the people, expressed through a diversity of languages, customs, and traditions. She understood the varied history and consequent reality that impacted the lives and sense of dignity of the people. As she traveled the Commonwealth, visiting Jamaica on 6 occasions, she recognized the integrity of all people and their right to choose their future. She has therefore supported those who made decisions to remove her as head of state and urged, where possible, that all remain in the Commonwealth of Nations, where she would be able to sustain the values of democracy and the rights of people to self-determination while sustaining historic relations of substance. Madam Speaker, we had unfinished business with Her Majesty, but we will pursue them with her successor, King Charles. Reparatory justice is necessary and is needed. But at this time, we offer our most sincere condolences to King Charles and the rest of the royal family at this time of mourning. Respect due. Queen Elizabeth was one of a kind. We may never see her like again. May she rest in peace, and may the angels lead her into paradise. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as we continue the business of the House,
I'm going to ask for us to rise for 2 minutes silence in recognition of the passing of Queen Elizabeth. Rest in peace, and the light perpetual ever shine upon her. Just for the information of members of Parliament who might not be aware of things, but it is 2 minutes silence in the passing of Queen Elizabeth II from Throne. It is what it is.
Madam Speaker, I now ask for the suspension of the standing orders to allow us to go to public business and to receive 2 presentations under the state of constituency debate at this time. We will then return to the items thereafter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The question before the House is that there is a suspension of the items on the agenda and we move to public business before returning to the agenda. Those in favor? Those against? Those against? The ayes have it. Public business. And at this time, I now call on...
Madam Speaker? Yes. So, the state of the constituency debate. Today, the presentations will be made by Mr. Moreland Wilson, Member of Parliament, Westmoreland Western. Will open the debate, and he will be followed by the Honourable William Hutchinson, J.C. Hutchinson, CD MP, St. Elizabeth Northwestern. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, just before the member, I just would like to inquire if the Ministry of Finance is present, because these debates are to be a prelude to the budget call, and it was importantly established during this time to make sure that the Ministry of Finance hears from the representatives of the people. And if they are not here, then it means that we are not abiding by the objective of that debate. So may I inquire, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, at this time, with the advanced technology that exists, we know that the Minister and the Ministry of Finance and our mother and our fathers and our sisters and our brothers are watching us. We are, we're live and direct. How about that? Madam Speaker, at this time I also ask that standing orders 32C(3) be suspended to enable the members making their contribution during the debate on this motion to continue their speeches for 30 minutes, notwithstanding the time limit on speeches. The time limit is 15.
Members, those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. I now call upon the Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Western.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would you permit me to speak from a seat that is not my own? All right, thank you. Madam Speaker, today is a big day. It's a very big day. I moved my first motion just last week, and I'm opening the debates for the very first time. So, wish me luck. Madam Speaker, it's with great pleasure, privilege, and passion that I stand here to address this honourable House on this, my second state of the constituency debate, to report to this Parliament and to the nation the achievements, performance, and triumphs of Westmoreland Western constituency over the past year, and to outline proposals, plans, and objectives to be considered when reviewing the budget for the current financial year and the forecasting of estimates and revenue and expenditure for the next financial year. Madam Speaker, I also want to state unequivocally that the responsibility entrusted to me by the people of Westmoreland Western on September 3rd, 2020 has not been taken lightly. And I recognize that for over 3 decades, the constituency has been without any kind of leadership until now. Madam Speaker, I wish to acknowledge Madam Speaker, our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, must be commended for his visionary leadership, strong economic policies, and his command of our country's affairs, especially during those difficult times globally. I would like to thank him and the Jamaica Labour Party caucus for the opportunity to represent the people of Westmoreland Western. I appreciate their continued faith in me. Madam Speaker, the year 2021-2022 has been a year of recovery. We have faced many challenges, but with God's help, we are recovering stronger and together. I want to thank Almighty God for his guidance on this journey of life, liberty, and leadership, for his continued guidance and protection as we face these challenges, both known and unknown. To my family and friends and well-wishers, I say a big thank you for your unwavering support. To my sitting councillor, Kevin Murray, councillor caretakers, Basil Thompson, Carlos Cook, Altricia Maitland, and Owen James Jr., my executive and management teams, and our hard-working and committed political workers of Westmoreland Western, I thank you. Madam Speaker, I also wish to acknowledge our partners and their contribution and continued commitment to the development of Jamaica, the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, our churches, schools, and civic group. Madam Speaker, I now move to the vision I have for the constituency. We believe that a partnership with the people is required to advance this constituency into a glorious future, in which citizens have tangible jobs to provide for themselves and their families. We are restoring hope in the constituency, where opportunities abound and hard work and productivity result in prosperity for all. A constituency with an educated and skilled workforce, and where every citizen can enjoy a high standard of living. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland Western is one of the great assets of Jamaica. As such, I'm on a mission to transform the lives of the people of this great constituency, giving families more security, boosting the self-esteem and confidence of our young people, and providing hope and opportunity for those in need. Madam Speaker, we will now focus on the valuable commodity of water. You may recall in my 2021 report to this Honourable House, I state that 18 communities in the constituency lack portable water. I also reported that parts of my hometown, Blackness, have been without water for 30 years. I am pleased to inform this House that Blackness is now fully connected. Which means that all sections of Blackness have water. Madam Speaker, residents of Brighton, Retirement, and Orange Hill pleaded with me during my 2020 campaign for the general elections. When you become MP, don't forget us. Please give us water. We have been without water for over 60 years. Please look into what you can do to provide us with water. Madam Speaker, on Thursday, August 25th, 2022 at 2 p.m., I joined Minister Honourable Matthew Samuda in commissioning the Nomprel Retirement and Orange Hill Water Project. This water project has a price tag of $475 million, serving 9,000 residents in 9 communities and districts. Madam Speaker, promise made, promise kept. Madam Speaker, this water system not only reflects my commitment to the people of Westmoreland Western, but also the government's commitment to the people of Jamaica in ensuring every Jamaican have access to portable and reliable water. Madam Speaker, this is an example of a caring government. Madam Speaker, more good news. I recently toured Moreland Hill with the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, the Honourable Desmond McKenzie, to assess the feasibility of implementing a water system for approximately 9,000 residents. Moreland Hill is the home to numerous small businesses, Moreland Hill Primary School and Infant, the internationally renowned Jamaica Giants and Sculpture Park and Art Gallery. For those in Moreland Hill who are listening, I know you have been waiting for over 60 years, but you only have a working MP for 2. Please be patient with me. Madam Speaker, it is often said that water is life, so let me elaborate. Negril residents, business and hoteliers have been waiting with bated breath for the Negril Water Improvement Project. This system will pump water from Rowan River to Negril, passing through the 5 electoral divisions: Friendship, Grange Hill, Little London, Sheffield, and ending in Negril. Minister Matthew Samuda has agreed to collaborate with me to work and start this project. Madam Speaker, more on infrastructure. The Little London community has been without a police station for over 30 years. Residents frequently hear of a police station but see no action. Madam Speaker, on Thursday, April 7, 2022, less than 2 years after being elected, I joined our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, the Honourable Desmond McKenzie, Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, Xavier Main, Permanent Secretary Courtney Williams, Deputy Commissioner Clifford Blake, and the Senior Manager at NHT, Donald Moore, at the official groundbreaking of the construction of $175 million police station in Little London, West London. Madam Speaker, the station is being built in collaboration with the National Housing Trust, NHT, as part of the Ministry of National Security Project Rebuild, Overhaul, and Construct ROC initiative, which aims to make police stations across the island more modern and welcoming to citizens. Madam Speaker, this is a caring government. At no point in the history of this nation have we had this level of investment in national security by our government. Madam Speaker, let me continue on more infrastructure projects. The Grange Hill Primary School is one of the few schools left on the shift system. With the support of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, we are now constructing an 8-classroom block at the Grange Hill Primary School under the Caribbean Development Bank's Basic Needs Trust Fund Cycle 9. Madam Speaker, we were told that the new block would be ready for the start of school January 2023. And it's just in time for the Grange Hill Primary School, who is celebrating its 100th year in 2024. Madam Speaker, another infrastructure project. For over 30 years, residents, businesses, and hoteliers have advocated for a fresh fruits and vegetable market in Negril. In fact, I met with several members of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, including Daniel Grizzle, who is passionate about the market's development. The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Desmond McKenzie, set aside funds for the market's construction dating back to 2016, but no action was taken. Madam Speaker, since being elected, much effort has been put into restarting discussion and starting construction. I'm pleased to inform this Honourable House that after many years of delays, preparation work for the Negril market has finally begun. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Daniel Grizzle and the Negril Chamber of Commerce, who voluntarily paid for the soil test, which forms part of the requirement for approvals. It is major. Madam Speaker, let's talk about roads. I am here today with a very heavy heart. Westmoreland Western road conditions are deplorable. My constituents are outraged, with several protests have taken place along the toll gate to Grange Hill to Glasgow, and toll gate to Locust Street roads. Madam Speaker, I want to say to this Honourable House that these roads have been in disrepair for many years, some dating back 30 years. Madam Speaker, the Jackass River Bridge, which connects Westmoreland to Hanover in Friendship Division, collapsed in August 2022. As a result, several farmers have been unable to access their farms or transport their produce to market. Madam Speaker, I would like to inform this Honourable House and my constituents that funds have been allocated to repair the toll gate to Grangeville and Grangeville to Glasgow roadways. And the thoroughfare from Tollgate to Glasgow as well as from Solas to Grand Street is scheduled to be rehabilitated. Thanks to the partnership with the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Minister Warmington, for making this possible. Madam Speaker, representation and discussions about the bridge are ongoing, and we anticipate a workable solution with great optimism and haste. Madam Speaker, I must express my disappointment and dissatisfaction with the National Works Agency. Pace in which procuring road repair projects. For example, the repair for the Grangeville to Glasgow thoroughfare has been pending for 14 months. Road users have become frustrated and many have experienced vehicular damage, reduced productivity and accidents. Madam Speaker, I would like to tell the National Works Agency, hurry up. The people are fed up. Madam Speaker, in the inordinately long time it takes to complete this procurement process is resulting in the further deterioration of road surface and intensifying the frustration of motorists and the commuting public at large. Madam Speaker, a solution I believe we should seriously consider is re-implementing small road repair teams per parish for emergency patching of our roadways. We have seen where they were highly effective in the past, and we should try to bring them back as soon as possible. Madam Speaker, Westmoreland and Westmoreland Western has experienced significant increases in traffic accidents. According to the National Road Safety Council, some 487 people were killed in our roadways last year, the most since 1985. And Westmoreland, as a parish, account for a great portion of that number. Madam Speaker, Minister Floyd Green introduced me to the Federation Internationale de Automobile, the FIA Foundation, with whom I led a tour of Westmoreland Western along with members of the National Road Safety Council. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to report to this House that the team is now exploring the possibility of implementing a program with motorcyclists to save lives and make our roads safer. Madam Speaker, motorcyclists aren't being singled out. Operators of motor cars and trucks are also prone to errors. As a result, consideration should be given in instituting mandatory refreshers courses in motor vehicle operation every 3 to 5 years, or a system of recertification. Madam Speaker, we must look at ways to reduce the carnage on our roads. Madam Speaker, let's discuss flooding. We have a drain cleaning program that targets flood-prone areas in Westmoreland Western, such as McNeil Land, Bay Road, Egypt Gardens, Nile, Nancypan and Broughton. Despite the unusually rainy weather patterns, our diligent drain cleaning efforts of critical drains have prevented widespread flooding. Madam Speaker, I would also suggest to this Honourable House that a policy be established to upgrade all important drains by building concrete culverts and drainage systems. Madam Speaker, please, the advantages of such a move would see significant reduction in flooding, a yearly reduction in the cost of maintaining these drains, and the release of lands for productivity. Madam Speaker, let's discuss education. I continue to be an advocate for education. Education contributes to our goal of creating a resilient knowledge-based economy. Westmoreland Western has 21 public schools, 12 of which are primary schools. 4 are primary and infant school, 1 infant school, 1 junior high, and 3 high schools. Madam Speaker, just under $6 million has been spent on education support for students at the primary, secondary, and tertiary level in last year. Through the EduChess Foundation, scholarships we assisted scholarships to 15 secondary and tertiary level students. To date, 60 tablets and laptops were distributed to children, as well as 350 book vouchers and 100 shoes vouchers distributed through the constituency office. Madam Speaker, this is in addition to our back-to-school event, which was held in the electoral division and attracted approximately 1,500 students for bounce about, popcorns, hot dogs, and other children delights, as well as back-to-school items such as backpacks, books, and stationery. Madam Speaker, while Manning School is not in my constituency, the launch of the Youth Summer Employment Program, JISTV, was a monumentous occasion for the parish of Westmoreland, where our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, gave an inspiring charge and words of encouragement to over 1,800 young people in attendance, many of whom are entering the workforce for the first time. Madam Speaker, the Youth Summer Employment Program for 2022 recruited approximately 6,000 young people across the island who were assigned to various ministries, departments, and agencies of the public sector organization. The Honourable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Desmond Mackenzie, deserves a special recognition and applause for this program, which has this program, Madam Speaker, employed some 27,500 young people since its inception, 500 of whom found permanent employment in government agencies. Madam Speaker, the government efforts to connect Westmoreland Western communities to the internet continues unabated. I would like to express my gratitude to the Honourable Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Minister Darrell Vaz, for his ongoing leadership in the development of the Community Wi-Fi Hotspot Initiative. Madam Speaker, the internet access has also been a source of concern for hoteliers, businesses and residents in Negril, who complain bitterly about its unreliability. Honourable Minister Vaz is not in the House, but I hope he's listening. We are aware that a new license has been issued, right? We are aware that a new license has been issued. However, please see what can be done to expedite the process for this new company to begin operations. In the same breath, we require new accountability strategies for these and other telecommunication companies, as we have seen too often where consumers go without service for days, sometimes weeks, and our bills are not prorated. Our goals of a technology-driven society cannot be realized with patchy internet service, especially in the face of a pandemic. Madam Speaker, the EduChess Foundation was established to assist students and youths in Westmoreland Western and to promote education and training. The foundation is currently in talks with a number of organizations about providing training and certification in high-demand areas. Madam Speaker, I'll report to this Honourable House on this initiative in greater details in the coming months, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank the outgoing director, Ms. Felicia Fairclough, for the spectacular work that she has done. Madam Speaker, it's also important to recognize the Theodora Skills Training Center and Cornerstone, Jamaica, which have continued to provide the training and certification programs that enable many people in Western Jamaica with the tools they need to begin a career in their chosen field of trade. Madam Speaker, let me move quickly to housing. Westmoreland Western, there is still a housing crisis. And there has been a rapid increase in informal settlements of lands traditionally used by the sugar industry. Housing demand continues to rise as hundreds, if not thousands, of people relocate to the constituency for work, family, and opportunities in the hospitality industry. Madam Speaker, the consequence of the constituency lingering housing crisis were on full display in one of the most widely publicized disputes which occurred in a community called Little Bay. Madam Speaker, I would like to express my gratitude to our Prime Minister, the Honourable Andrew Holness, for visiting the constituency to take part in the groundbreaking for the Little London Police Station, as well as taking the time out of his busy schedule to meet with representatives of these various groups of people who are occupying the disputed lands. Madam Speaker, our Prime Minister was clear. The rule of law must be upheld and property rights must be protected. Madam Speaker, I would like to draw this Honourable House attention to a family of 4 in peril. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Minister Desmond McKenzie, for initiating the construction of a new 2-bedroom home for a family and diligently following up to ensure construction is completed on time and within budget. Proverbs 24:3, verse 4. By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Madam Speaker, climate change. The Negril Environmental Protection Area extends into Hanover and covers some 271 square kilometers. It is the home of many diverse species of plants and animals, many of which are found nowhere else in the world. The endemic morass royal palm and the endangered West Indian whistling duck are among them. Madam Speaker, the Negril Great Morass is critical to the beach and our coastline, and it must be protected because it is act as a nursery for many marine organisms. Madam Speaker, the Minister Matthew Samuda and Minister Homer Davis, along with the Negril Chamber of Commerce, met just last week to discuss plans to improve the environmental asset protection. One such action is the passage of legislation to strengthen the Negril and Green Island Area Local Planning Authority, popularly called NAGALPA, for approvals, monitoring and enforcement. Madam Speaker, our discussion also includes the IWECA project, which aims to strengthen the management of the Negril EPA in order to ensure long-term sustainability of the wetland biological resources and to support the government of Jamaica law for sustainable management of land, water and ecosystem. Madam Speaker, I will now speak a little on sports. Madam Speaker, Jamaica continues to excel in sports, producing world-class athletes who dominate in their respective fields. In October 2021, I joined Quartz Optical, Dennis Shipping, Grange Hill High School, Grange Hill United Citizens Committee, the Jamaica Olympic Association, and the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports in recognizing Olympian Ronald Levy, Paralympian Theodore Schuber, and our twin girl winners, Tina and Tia Clayton, who are all residents of Grange Hill. Madam Speaker, with such sporting talent coming from Grange Hill, I am informing this Honourable House and my constituents that the Sports Development Foundation project to upgrade the Belight Playfield has begun under a program known as the High School Sport Infrastructure Improvement Program. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Olivia Grange, for identifying the Belight Playfield project, which will benefit Grange Hill High School and the young talent in the community. Madam Speaker, the Minister Edmund Bartlett, CD MP, our Minister of Tourism, must be commended for leading the charge in the construction of the Negril Mini Stadium, which was built by the Tourist Product Development Company Limited, with funding from Tourist Enhancement Fund. Madam Speaker, we are currently in the process of connecting water and electricity so that we can begin hosting major sporting events in Negril. Madam Speaker, according to UNWTO, sports tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors of tourism. As hotels and destinations compete for the tourist dollar, sports tourism is on the rise. Negril is poised to capture a significant share of the global market with the Negril Golf Club, the Negril Tactical Shooting Range, and Jamwest Motorsport and Adventure Park, all playing important roles in promoting Negril as a destination. Minister Bartlett, Westmoreland is ready, Negril is ready, and the people are ready for sports tourism. Madam Speaker, Negril community and Westmoreland as a whole are very concerned about the Negril Beach Park. The beach park is a lively place where locals would go to the beach, but it has been closed for 15 years. Several proposals and plans were presented during that time, but none were implemented. Madam Speaker, I'm requesting that the Ministry of Tourism, the Tourist Product Development Company Limited and Tourist Enhancement Fund develop the park with recreational areas similar to Harmony Park, including beach access. I've received several pledges from corporate Jamaica for supporting the development of the park, and I'm advocating for TPDCO to make a mark and lead the charge with the development of the beach park, which will be a legacy for generations to come. Madam Speaker, agriculture and tourism are the two largest employers in the constituency. With the decline of the sugar industry, we now have over 3,000 unemployed sugar workers. This presents a unique challenge as well as a unique opportunity. These workers have years of experience in agriculture and farming and will be qualified for the Overseas Farm Work Program, or in another case, to work in agri-parks. Madam Speaker, I would like to propose to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security that we collaborate on designing a program to get these agriculture workers on the Farm Work Program, or we collaborate with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to develop agri-parks in the constituencies which the produce could be sold to local markets and the tourist sector. A combination of both. In any case, with the assistance of Minister Charles Jr., I supported farmers with some 30 black tanks, chickens, fish nets, fertilizers, seedlings, fruit trees, and other agricultural inputs. Madam Speaker, with the destabilizing effects of global events, Jamaica agriculture sector is critical in supporting our growth and our ambitions of becoming economic independent. Madam Speaker, the resort town of Negril is rapidly expanding. The capital of Casual and several hotels are ready. The tourist industry has a bright future. TPDCO and TEF support is required, Madam Speaker, for the renovation of our craft markets, our fishing village, and the general beautification and aesthetics of our 7 Mile Beach. Madam Speaker, security is critical. Coverage, as well as more lighting and greater integration with security apparatus operating in the grill are required. Madam Speaker, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Minister of Justice, Honorable Delroy Chuck, who toured Westmoreland in promoting the Ministry of Justice various tools such as restorative justice, mediation, and child diversion. Madam Speaker, this new system of justice, designed by a caring government that wants to bring justice to the people of Jamaica's doorstep, their communities, and their homes. Madam Speaker, as I conclude my second State of the Constituency debate, I can say that much has been accomplished in the past 24 months. However, there is much more work to be done. And I will need the support of this Honourable House to make Westmoreland Western the place to work, raise family, and do business. Thank you very much. God bless this House. God bless the people of Jamaica. God bless Jamaica land we love. Thank you.
You can join him, you know. If there's envy on that side, you can join him and congratulate. The member from St. Elizabeth, Northwestern.
Madam Speaker, I thank the good Lord for continuing to favor me with health and strength to continue the work for the constituents of Northwest St. Elizabeth.
You're here.
I applaud the most Honorable Prime Minister for his vision and his structured approach in guiding our nation. I thank my minister at the Ministry of Transport and Mining, the Honorable Audley Shaw, for his continuous support. We have been traveling many miles together. I thank the Permanent Secretary and the entire team in the ministry for their continued support and dedication. Madam Speaker, I stand today not to complain and bemoan that which Northwest St. Elizabeth lacks as a constituency, but to celebrate our progress towards our goal of prosperity for all. We are determined to overcome the challenges ahead and to make this 2022-23 budget debate one of the best for the constituency. Madam Speaker, the executive of Northwest St. Elizabeth has decided that this year we will adopt the mantra, Northwest St. Elizabeth, growing through technology. A number of projects to uplift and empower youth, women and children in schools have been ongoing, and a number will commence soon. Madam Speaker, the long-awaited new market water supply system is expected to be commissioned by February 2023. Once functional, the system will provide piped water to residents in 10 districts in the new market division. In the Lacobia division, a water line will be coming from Magati to a lift pump at Newton, which will be able to supply water to the district of Coca and surrounding areas. The Maybole solar water system has suffered many setbacks over the years, as it was slated to have been completed in 2021, but was plagued with land acquisition issues. However, work is progressing, and the residents of Maybole and Ginger Hill will be getting water by the end of 2022. Madam Speaker, Northwest St. Elizabeth is one of the rural areas that does not have a signage of road names. We have started a project to erect signs throughout the constituency, and by the end of this month, 94 roads will have signs displayed. Madam Speaker, the Tafari Lions Football Club, one of the leading football clubs in the parish, presently uses the Lacobia Community Center as their home ground. However, there are no stands to accommodate their supporters. We are therefore constructing spectator stands on the compound, which should be completed by the end of November 2022. There is also another well-known football team, Colour Red. Their home ground is the Holland Playfield, which is without a community center. There is no changing room for the players of the team. Again, by the end of November, we hope to have the construction of the changing rooms completed. Madam Speaker, roughly 90% of the constituents of Northwest St. Elizabeth are either directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture for their economic survival. We continue to engage them from an early age to demonstrate the great economic benefits from agriculture. We are in the process of providing all the primary and high schools with agricultural inputs in order to maintain and expand their school gardens. So far, 6 schools have been provided with fencing material to protect their agricultural plots. The Lacovia High School has recently been presented with a small tractor. 6 schools, 3 high schools and 3 primary schools were gifted with 1 aquaponics system each. The other 18 schools in the constituency will all receive aquaponics systems by the end of November 2022. And I thank the Minister, Minister Charles, for coming to launch this aquaponic system in schools. The aquaponic systems is one in which the waste of farmed tilapia fish is used to supply nutrients to the plants. Both fish and vegetables will be used in the preparation of breakfast for the children in the schools. This will also teach the children at an early age that there is great economic benefit in agriculture. The Jamaica 4-H clubs have agreed to provide aquaponics training and technical assistance to interested farmers and at least 1 teacher from each school in the constituency. Madam Speaker, we have already started the process of having fruit puree process to ensure that we are able to provide our school children with healthy natural juices for the breakfast program in all the schools, making sure there's no sugary drinks and bag juice. Madam Speaker, we have identified 120 acres of Holland, of lands on the Holland property to be used as Aki Orchard to supply Holland Bamboo Limited, a subsidiary of Spurtree Spice, with Aki for export. Madam Speaker, our farmers in the constituency are preparing to embark on a major project that is growing castor bean. The Jamaica Bauxite Institute is in the process of establishing a castor bean project aimed at using mined-out bauxite lands to plant castor bean and intercrop with cash crops. The beans will be processed to extract castor oil, which is $1 billion industry. Its use in cosmetics alone is valued at $187 million per year. And I would like to thank Mr. Montague for laying the wicket for the development of this castor bean project. While we in northwestern Elizabeth are outside of the bauxite mining belt, there are already many farmers who are cultivating castor. They are looking to partner with the JBI in this venture. We see this project as a game changer for these farmers in the constituency. Madam Speaker, the topography of much of the constituency is hilly terrain, and our RADA extension officers are having difficulty accessing some of these areas in order to effectively capture agricultural data. These issues are even more pronounced when there is a natural disaster and farmers lose their crops and livestock. The officers are usually required to provide a report on the damages in 3 days. Madam Speaker, 3 drones were recently handed over to RADA. 1 each was presented to the 3 extension officers who service the hilly terrain of the constituency. These drones are capable of taking photos of crops being cultivated and assess the acreages with a greater degree of accuracy. In times of disaster, the drones will be able to identify with greater accuracy crop damage and animal loss, and will give the extension officer a more accurate and comprehensive report in a shorter time. Madam Speaker, it is no secret that the production data currently provided by RADA is more of a guesstimate than a credible estimate of the true level of agricultural production in the constituency. Madam Speaker, the use of these drones can also assist in curtailing the incidences of predial larceny. Madam Speaker, it is with a deep sense of concern that the constituency of Northwest St. Elizabeth have been experiencing an increase in incidents of criminal activities. One such incident took place in the New Market community recently, where a police vehicle was attacked by gunmen who escaped in the bushes in the surrounding area. With the assistance of the citizens in the area, the men were caught a day after and handed over to the police. It was voiced at the time that if the police had access to the use of drone technology, they would have been able to apprehend the perpetrators quicker. Responding to the suggestion, I intend to provide 1 drone each to the 2 police stations in Northwest St. Elizabeth, namely the Magotty Police Station and the New Market Police Station, once permission to accept same is granted.
Moving forward with technology.
The drones are already purchased.
Leadership.
Madam Speaker, I did not intend to speak on this aspect. That is technology, the chip.
Moving forward.
That is what I've been always advocating, and you know it.
True.
Madam Speaker, I did not intend to speak on this, but I heard a recent complaint from a member of the opposition accusing the current administration of playing politics with infrastructure. Madam Speaker, I've never seen a minister in charge of roads as accommodating to the opposition as the present minister of roads. I have seen him giving roads to opposition members of parliament. This is totally different from when the opposition was in government. For those of you whose memory this is totally different from when the opposition was in government. For those of you whose memory might need a little refreshing, the people of Northwest St. Elizabeth were victimized by partisan politics for 15 long years by then the PNP government. And I read this here: no road from Northwest St. Bess. Hutchinson cries victimization. This is on Gleaner, Thursday, October 8th, 2015. And it says, Dr. Omar Davis, the country's works minister, has indicated that it would take actually $618 million to rehabilitate 4 major roads in the constituency, which is represented by J.C. Hutchinson. Madam Speaker, it so happens that the other constituencies in the parish was being given all the roads, and yet for 15 years, can any of you imagine if you have your constituency and you don't get roads for 2 years, what would happen? Much less 15 years. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, to God be the glory. Northwest is out of the clutches. Yes. Since 2016, under this administration, the 4 major roads that were mentioned, number 1, Magati to Arcadia, has been asphalted. Elderly to Redgate, 50% already fixed, and another section started. Springfield to Pisgah has been carpeted. Most of you remember the middle quarters to New Market Road, where they planted banana tree in the middle of the road till it started to sprout. Was the first road that we got repaired under this administration. Madam Speaker, I must pause to acknowledge and to thank our most honorable Prime Minister, the members of the Cabinet, and my honorable colleague, Minister Everald Warmington, for the welcome financial support being given to maintain, repair, and rehabilitate the road network throughout the constituency. Never before has Northwest St. Elizabeth had so many roads being fixed. Since the last financial year, we have had 9 main roads patched and 2 to be rehabilitated starting in another 2 weeks. We have also had 4 municipal corporation roads patched and another 2 just rehabilitated. Madam Speaker, persons traversing the constituency from Arcadia to Magati will have the repairs to 4 breakaways in Joint Road repaired starting 4 weeks' time as soon as rains stop. Madam Speaker, we in Northwest St. Bess take agriculture as our main form of livelihood very seriously. The young, the old, men, women, and children are heavily involved in livestock and crop production. We have seen growing interest and appreciation of the economic viability of agriculture. One of our constituents promising farmers is a young lady who is a member of the Holland Village Youth Group. Miss Kadisha Allen was recently awarded the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Agriculture and Agro-Processing. She is also this year's recipient of the Most Outstanding Young Farmers Award from the Agriculturist newspaper. Ms. Allen is currently one of 42 young farmers cultivating a variety of crops on the Holland property. Of that number, 32 are women, and they are now asking for more land in order to expand their agricultural production. Madam Speaker, a total of $5.4 million has been spent so far in assisting students going back to school. Of this amount, 1.2 has been spent on scholarship and bursaries to students. Madam Speaker, as time does not allow me to delve into other projects and programs in the constituency, I would just like to start looking ahead. Extensive work is currently being done to rehabilitate and re-establish bamboo plants in our world-renowned and most pictured and picturesque natural attraction, the Holland Bamboo Avenue. The emission of fumes from vehicles plying the route is one of the main causes for the destruction of some of the bamboo. I am requesting that an overhead bypass road be constructed starting at the entrance of Bamboo Avenue from the Lacovia end and extending across the Holland property to end a little beyond middle quarters. This would mean greater economic activity for the local and parish if the heritage site is developed and fully functional as a tourist attraction. Madam Speaker, adjacent to the scientific Holland Bamboo Avenue is a 2,400-acre property which is below sea level and has 3 springs with water flowing from them non-stop. This water has to be pumped off the property and into the Black River and was costing Campari, who operated the property, between $800,000 and $1 million per month for electricity, just to pump the water off the property. Yet, with all of this water, the property with its 122 farmers remain unirrigated, even though several requests have been made to the National Irrigation Commission to lay pipes and build out the irrigation system. Now it is being said that the water from the Black River adjacent to the property will be pumped to South St. Elizabeth to irrigate lands there, yet Holland, with the most fertile lands in the parish, is being ignored. Madam Speaker, I am requesting that a feasibility study be done to explore the possibility of harnessing electricity from the water that is currently being pumped from the Holland property into the Black River. I am also requesting the construction of a solar farm on the said property to provide solar power to operate the pumps and therefore offset the dependency on the JPS. Madam Speaker, I am requesting that the 20 acres of the Middlesex land that was transferred from the National Land Agency to the Ministry of Housing for the Middlesex Squatter Settlement be developed and sold to the 54 families that now occupy the land. Most of these families are living in very deplorable condition, and so we are asking for it to be treated as a priority. Madam Speaker, with the rainfall experienced since April of this year, many of our municipal corporation roads are now in a deplorable condition. And so I am requesting a substantial allocation be given to each constituency, each rural constituency for the rehabilitation and repairs of these roads. Madam Speaker, I am requesting the completion of the rehabilitation of 3 main roads, Prospect, Ginger Hill to Pisgah, and 4 parts to Springfield, and the patching of 12 roads. Madam Speaker, when these are done, my journey with main roads would have been completed. Madam Speaker, in closing, on this my 25th sectorial deliberately, as member of Parliament for North West St. Elizabeth, and my 34th presentation overall as a member of Parliament, I must say how grateful I am to serve the Jamaica Labour Party and the government of Jamaica under the leadership of the most Honourable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. I thank my hard-working councillor and councillor caretaker for their continued support. Madam Speaker, I'm immensely indebted to the people of North West St. Elizabeth, who are not afraid to remind me that I am here today addressing this honourable House because of them. I say, Madam Speaker, despite the noise, the distractions, and the detractors, good things are happening in Northwest St. Elizabeth, as it is throughout the entire Jamaica. Our Prime Minister and this administration have been working for the upliftment and development of the people of Northwest St. Elizabeth and the entire Jamaica, and I thank them once again for their support. I say to those in Northwest St. Elizabeth, prosperity is not a dream. We will continue to work for you and with you to make it a reality. Northwest St. Elizabeth and Jamaica may not be where we want to be, but thank God, under the Prime Minister, we are moving closer to prosperity. Thank you, God, for keeping us. Let us continue to work together as a team to build this nation.
Well done, man. Well.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I now ask that the debate be suspended.
Members of the House, the question before you is that the debate be now suspended. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. The debate is suspended.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I now ask for the recommittal of items, starting with statements by ministers.
Members, the question before is that we return. We have the recommittal of items on the agenda, beginning with statements by ministers. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at this time there will be two statements by Minister. Honourable Delroy Chuck, QC, KC, MP, Minister of Justice, will make a statement, and he'll be followed by the Honourable Robert Morgan, Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for information. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Minister Chuck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I take the opportunity to inform Parliament
of the signing of a historic partnership between the Ministry of Justice and the churches. On Tuesday, September the 6th, 2022, the leaders of 13 umbrella group of churches signed a memorandum of understanding to train church members and leaders in restorative practices. This group of 13 represents over 3,000 congregations across Jamaica. A point to note, Madam Speaker, is that once these church members and leaders are trained, they will join a total of 2,398 teachers, students and parents who have been recently trained in 81 schools across the island. Noteworthy, Madam Speaker, as examples of the churches represented, the signing by President of the Jamaica Union of Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Dr. Everett Brown, representing 735 churches. The Jamaica Council of Churches, Reverend Newton Dixon, representing 1,100 congregations. Suffragan Bishop of Kingston, Right Reverend Garth Minot, 277 churches. Reverend Gladwin Kidu, Church of Christ in Jamaica, representing 70 churches. Madam Speaker, we plan to train approximately 25 members of every congregation over a 2-day period in restorative practices. Madam Speaker, training church members from across every nook and cranny of Jamaica is a preemptive step in preventing disputes in communities and families from escalating. The church members will be trained in areas such as convening restorative circles in which persons can address issues causing conflicts and have them resolved. There are other church representatives, Madam Speaker, who had indicated their intention to sign, but were unable to be present at last Tuesday's signing. Madam Speaker, apart from those churches represented, the Ministry of Justice is encouraging representatives of all churches, faith-based organizations across Jamaica to reach out to the administrators at our 20 restorative justice centers island-wide in pursuit of this partnership. Contact can be made by calling 888-JUSTICE or 888-587-8423. Madam Speaker, restorative justice has been a huge success, and the statistics shows that for the past 4 years, more than 7,000 conflicts were referred to RJ for settlement. Those referred by the courts constitute 78% of the cases. Madam Speaker, of the approximately 6,000 cases referred by the courts, 93%, Madam Speaker, 90+% were successfully completed. And along with the referral from the community and recommendations by the police, the overall success rate is approximately 80%. So, Madam Speaker, even where matters are referred outside of the courts, the success rate is over 70%. Madam Speaker, with such a highly successful mechanism to resolve disputes, I wonder why are more matters not being referred for resolution? Accordingly, Madam Speaker, I urge my colleagues and the country to encourage parties in dispute and conflicts, or people who know of such parties, that they be referred to a restorative justice center, which would ensure that most of them are settled. Madam Speaker, with so many disputes, disagreements and conflicts simmering across neighborhoods, communities, schools and homes, we need to find ways and means to get the parties to a restorative justice center. By reaching out to the churches, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice hopes that more matters of abuses, harm, and wrongdoing can be referred to the restorative justice centers where the parties can get together to find healing and forgiveness. Madam Speaker, by going through the restorative justice process, parties can have their hitherto good relationships restored. Most cases, Madam Speaker, of physical abuse and emotional hurt are between parties well known to each other. Domestic abuses and violence are at epidemic proportion. Violent conflicts in schools and communities are occurring daily. These acts, Madam Speaker, sometimes rise to the level where criminal charges are brought and persons prosecuted, which seriously damage relationships, cause bitterness to linger, and sometimes lead to reprisal. Madam Speaker, restorative justice can heal the wounds and restore the relationships. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we encourage parties in disputes to seek assistance from our restorative justice officers in any of our 20 centres. At our centres, Madam Speaker, trained personnel will examine the issues and determine whether the party is referred to a trained RJ restorative justice facilitator or to a mediator. And for information, Madam Speaker, there is a difference between restorative justice and mediation, and the RJ centres can easily discern which mechanism is suitable. Today, I deal primarily with restorative justice. Far too many of our people are using abuse and violence to settle their conflicts. If they could only be referred to the restorative justice centres, the likelihood of an amicable settlement could result. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the basis of this historic partnership with the churches and of my statement here in Parliament is to strongly urge for more matters to be referred to the RJ centres by the courts, the police, and communities where many conflicts originate. Far too many of these disputes and conflicts are dealt with inappropriately when, with the assistance of restorative justice facilitators, the matter could be resolved satisfactorily. In fact, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Justice is embarking on a major sensitization on all our alternative dispute resolution programs, which are offered free of cost to the public. Madam Speaker, in addition to our success in RJ matters, the Victim Services Division has counted 13,674 new and follow-up clients for the period January to December 2021. For the period January to July 2022, 8,025 new and follow-up clients have been seen. Madam Speaker, the Child Diversion Program is steadily picking up steam, and we continue to encourage the courts and the police to refer children to the program. We have excellent plans, Madam Speaker, for the children in the program, administered by over 23 of the best counselling and clinical psychologists across the island. Madam Speaker, as previously mentioned, we have already started in our schools, and with the partnership of the Ministry of Education, similar training continues across schools during the new school year. Presently, Madam Speaker, we are conducting training to increase the number of restorative justice facilitators in order that every parish will have trained personnel in RJ principles to conduct these two-day training programs, and also to be available for restorative justice circles. RJ circles, Madam Speaker, are the mechanisms that enable parties to meet and settle their conflicts. Madam Speaker, it is important that RJ should be available in every corner of Jamaica. And this successful mechanism should not only be known, but should be utilized. Amazingly, Madam Speaker, while we have not been able to fully educate all Jamaicans about RJ, other countries are aware of the success of our program. Indonesia, Nigeria, Australia, and a few other countries are in touch with us. Indonesia, in fact, Madam Speaker, proposes to send a 15-member delegation to Jamaica to get a first-hand look at our program because they have heard of its success. Madam Speaker, I attach statistics for the period 2018 to June 2022, highlighting the success of the RJ case conferences. And I hope, Madam Speaker, that persons will acknowledge and know that when parties are referred to RJ and the circles are conducted, 3 out of 4 and more of them are settled. We, Madam Speaker, would like more persons in dispute and conflicts to use this program. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank I want to thank the Minister for his statement on this important topic and indeed commend him for the work that has been done in the Ministry of Justice to establish restorative justice and also child diversion as two important approaches, mechanisms for trying to diffuse conflicts which might otherwise result in prosecution and conviction of individuals and other adverse consequences for victims, and also children who find themselves in conflict with the law, so that a more holistic, rehabilitative approach to trying to get those children on the right track can be pursued rather than the criminal justice system exacting its normal approach on them. I am happy to hear the levels of success that this program is already beginning to deliver. This is not surprising to me because I was always a firm believer in restorative justice and child diversion. Indeed, we piloted, when I was Minister of Justice, the use of restorative practices in the schools, and the then Minister of Education, Ronnie Thwaites, was quick to embrace the concept. And I'm glad to see that it has gone further now and will no doubt continue to grow, because we're seeing the conflicts in our schools on an almost daily basis. So there's obviously a need for this type of mechanism to be employed pervasively to try and manage these conflicts. I'm very happy to hear that the churches are getting on board, Minister. This is good news, and I thank you for your efforts to get them on board and to train members of their congregations. They are in communities. They interface with a lot of issues, domestic violence issues and other issues affecting their congregations. And restorative justice, I think, is an important way of trying to mitigate against some of the negative consequences of our propensity for violence in this country. Because, first of all, it's a relatively low-cost thing to administer. Secondly, it has become very effective and proven itself in many different countries of the world, different cultures of the world, to be very effective. Because it really deals with the whole situation and tries to adopt an approach of achieving healing of a relationship. It's a relationship-based system. And so often, as you have said, the problems are among persons who have had a relationship of some kind, whether it be an intimate relationship or a family relationship or a friendship. They may be neighbors, live on the same street, or whatever it may be. And for one reason or another, that has been fractured. Sometimes for the most trivial of reasons, which carry with it a perception of disrespect, which we react very badly to, typically in Jamaica. And sometimes the resulting consequences can be disastrous. So I join in your call for the continued and intensified use of this system of managing conflict in our country. The judges need to employ it as readily and as pervasively as they can. The police also, and indeed justices of the peace and anyone else who's aware of the fact that there may be a problem developing. They should have restorative justice in their mind and shouldn't have the information as to how to refer a matter to being resolved in that way. Speaking for myself, in my constituency we have a centre. I would like to see the centre having an even bigger impact, quite frankly. I think that there's a lot that could be done to make that happen. And I'm glad to hear that the churches are getting involved, because I think they could be good agents for intensifying its use. You know, so often where people live in relatively dense populations, you know, there's not a lot of space in the home, a lot of life is conducted on the street, and that kind of thing. It is easy for persons to lose their cool. And unfortunately, we have an anger management problem as part of our culture, I would say. And we need to have mechanisms like this that can help to diffuse those things until we are able to change that culture. But I'm pleased to hear that Indonesia is looking to come to Jamaica and see what we have done here. That's very good. I remember bringing the cabinet submission to cabinet for the drafting instructions for restorative justice and child diversion to be issued. And that legislation was in an advanced stage of development when you succeeded me and you carried the ball forward, and I'm glad to see the positive results that it is yielding. The restorative justice policy and the child diversion policy were both finalized when I was minister, and I want again to commend the personnel within the ministry who worked on that. I remember Ruth Carey, daughter of the late Boyd Carey, was a very instrumental person at that time in developing both policies. And I think it's worth mentioning her here because she too, I'm sure, is pleased to see and hear what you've said today. Restorative justice is part of the solution we need, and an important part of the solution we need to our problems of violence in this country. And I will certainly at all times support the government's efforts to make this more pervasive, more widely used, more widely understood, and to be the tool, which I believe it can be, to really trying to bring our epidemic of violence under some kind of control. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Minister, not having seen the agreement that you made reference to, I'm hoping that the agreement will involve the churches not only speaking to it, but that they will promote it actively, not only among their members, but in the communities more broadly. Just to ask you in that same vein, what are the specific steps? So I would imagine that this is just one deliberative, intentional measure to have it promoted, but what are the other measures that the ministry is pursuing in having this disseminated widely and promoted?
I want to thank the members for their comments. Certainly, I want to thank the leader of the opposition. Yes, when he was Minister of Justice, this program started and had a full support at the Ministry of Justice. But for one reason or another, enough funds have not been put into the program. And to be frank with you, it's only since last year when I urged Minister Clark to let us have more money so we can train more RJ facilitators who can go out into the field. So the idea now is that every restorative justice center, including the one in Trenchtown, we're going to ensure that they have at least 5 trained persons who can go into the community and speak about restorative justice, go into the churches and educate 25 or so persons, go into the schools, and eventually I'm asking members of parliament if they're PD workers who are always in conflict. I know this, you know, and to be frank with you, to just get them together, and we are providing the training. No, it's a fact of life. I mean, the truth of the matter is that our PD workers, I've had to set to so many, disagreements. And I'm saying this, I'm sure this is so across many constituencies. So all I'm really asking is, if the members would like, you get your PD workers together, we will do the training, and we are paying the persons to do the training. So funds have been provided in the budget this year for us to be able to go into the schools, to go into the churches, to go into the communities, to do the training. So the effect of what I'm urging is that we want to sensitize persons to know that there is a mechanism where if you're willing to just sit in a circle with trained person, you can bring out the issues of why you did something. You can talk about how the conflict emerged and see if it can be settled. And the point about it is that it has been so successful, not only in Jamaica, but across many countries of the world. What is useful in Jamaica is that we have set up restorative justice centers around the island. So every parish has a restorative justice center. And it is now in these centers that the RJ officers, plus a liaison officer, are going into the communities to educate people about the mechanism. And that is what interests other countries, the fact that we have set up restorative justice centers, and on a regular basis, we are educating, informing, and urging people to bring their conflicts, because we can't go and find conflicts. we're urging the parties to bring their conflicts to see if they can be settled at these RJ centers. So this statement is just to urge colleagues, where you need some RJ person to speak and educate your constituents about RJ, we are available. Just make contact and we will do the training. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Huh? No?
Minister Morgan.
I can't hear you. I can send it to you. But in the church can call us. In the church can call. And we'll arrange, right?
Thank you. Madam Speaker, well, considering the depth and breadth of previous presentations on this matter, I will not seek to gild the lilies. But just for information, the government and people of Jamaica has already been expressed, joined with the British royal family, the people of the United Kingdom, and the entire Commonwealth in mourning the passing of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. Since her coronation, she visited Jamaica every decade until the early 2000s. Her tours saw her visiting Jamaica 6 times: 1953, 66, 75, 83, 94, and 2002. She made several presentations to this House, and that is recalled by many unto this day. We also recall during her reign, she undertook more than 200 visits to Commonwealth countries, visiting almost every country in the Commonwealth. The important part about this statement is actually to bring clarity to some concerns and confusion that may be in the public domain about the period of mourning. To observe the death of Her Majesty, a period of national mourning and a day of national mourning have been declared by the government, with procedures which will guide realm countries across the world, such as Jamaica. Accordingly, the period of national mourning commenced on September 8, 2022, the day of the sovereign's demise, and will end on September 19, 2022, the day of her funeral. The day of national mourning is September 18, 2022. During this period, the government, its ministries, departments, and agencies have been asked and will take certain actions. By way of example, members may be aware that flags on public buildings are being flown at half-mast. The Jamaica Defense Force has performed a 21-gun salute, and a condolence book has been opened at King's House with members of government, opposition, and all other dignitaries already signing. We expect that other condolence books will be opened as designated locations shortly. Tributes have been paid in the Senate, and today this Honourable House undertook its own. When the Governor-General returns to the island after attending the official funeral in London on September 18, memorial services will be held in all parish capitals. The service in Kingston and St. Andrew will be headed by the Governor-General, the Prime Minister, and the custodes. Services in the parishes will be headed by custodes. And I think this is important because this is probably the core of why I am making this statement. Persons have been asking, what does this period of mourning mean for them? We wish to clarify for the benefit of members of this House and the general public. 1. Mourning procedures apply largely to the government, ministries, agencies, and departments. Accordingly, no celebratory activities should take place within the public sector during this period. For clarity, members of the public who wish to partake in the period of mourning may choose to act with constraint during this period. However,
private events are not prohibited. Citizens may go about their normal affairs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, it seems as if the members are satisfied with the statement here,
right,
and that it needs no...
I'm so sorry, just one question arising, because, Madam Speaker, I'm noting the document that was tabled alongside the statement, and it did speak about what is going to happen on the day of the funeral. And I see there's a subtitle, holiday, and that the government will be making a decision on this matter. Has such a decision been made?
This document was distributed. Thank you very much, Opposition House Leader. This document, which we attached, is pretty much a general understanding of what is to take place during the period. It is not a discussion or a contemplation at this time, and I would have to be guided otherwise for a national holiday to be declared for this matter. It's not a discussion or a contemplation. Thank you.
No, I'm just going by what the document says, and it says that the government will make a decision on whether the day of the funeral will be a national holiday.
Thank you very much again. So, one of the things I want to clarify, and I need to make it very clear, is that when an incident as what has taken place happens, there's a standard operating procedure that is a part of the protocol. Some are optional, some are pretty much standard. The government then has to make a decision as to which aspect of the process, based on the context of our society and what are our imperatives. So though you may see this is a standard operating procedure, but the government makes decisions over time as to which aspect of it will follow. But this is a very good guide, generally to members of the public and other members, as to how things should be done or could be done. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, the time being for...
I'm going to go through the rest of the agenda down to... We have not done announcements or bills, so I'll just go down, House Leader. Thank you. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following two documents. One, the Integrity Commission Special Report of Investigation conducted in the circumstances surrounding the award of contract of Knightsman Security Limited for the provision of security services at the downtown Kingstown Transportation Center for the period 2010 to 2011. And two, annual report of the Jamaica Business Development Corporation for the year 2019-2020.
Madam Speaker, could you crave my indulgence for a minute? There have been reports tabled by the Integrity Commission and the Auditor General in the Parliament, and unfortunately the members are not getting the documents in a timely fashion. Normally what would happen, there's a link that is usually sent out maybe in the afternoon, an hour or so after Parliament, and we would receive these documents. There have been two such reports in the last month or so that it has taken us 3 days to get the reports. We actually see the reports in the media. The people call us, but as members, we are not privy to the report. I know this is an administrative issue, but it is really not acceptable for reports to be tabled here and members not have immediate access to them. So I'm asking, I've raised it with the clerk already privately, but I'm asking that we rectify it so that in a timely fashion the members can get these reports.
Your concern is noted. The truth is that the report came, it was read by the Office of the Clerk and then sent to IT department for the link to be sent out. So we have noted it and we'll endeavor once it gets here within a certain time so that it is sent out, because once it comes in, the clerk has a duty to read it, pass it to IT, and then send the link out. So it wouldn't come in if it comes in late and just automatically sent out.
No, Madam Speaker, I understand the process. That's not what I am questioning. I can indicate what the past was, where if it was tabled after the clerk speaks to it, by 5 o'clock a link would be there, even when we are sitting here, and would have access. The problem is it's taking a day or two later, and the media gets the report before the members do. And I'm just saying that administrative matter has to be resolved so we can get the reports immediately once they're tabled.
And I do agree with you. The clerk has assured me that this has gone to IT and the link should be out. But I note your concern and we will have the matter addressed. Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally, questions and answers to questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the time being 4:31, I now move that the House be allowed to receive and answer questions at this time.
Members, the question before you is that the standing orders be suspended to allow the questions to be answered after 3:15. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
So, Madam Speaker, at this time I would indicate that the Honourable Robert Morgan, Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for information, will answer the questions that were posed to the Most Honourable and Her Holiness Prime Minister.
Can I, just for clarity, my questions were tabled to the Prime Minister. Is it that the Prime Minister is not answering them and has deferred them to another minister, just for clarity? And then is that consistent with our standing orders?
I want to advise you that it is consistent with the standing orders. In fact, any minister at all or anybody with authority does have the authority under the standing orders to answer the questions, and Minister Morgan is indeed the Minister of Information and can give the thing. I am assured of that, member, that the standing orders does allow that. So we will proceed. If questions are on the table to be answered and they are not answered, people ask for it to be answered. Now that the questions are being answered, there is a thing. But I'm going to refer you to Standing Order 17, subsection 3, which allows any minister to answer the questions. So, Minister of Information, will you answer the questions that were asked of the PM as a Minister of Information?
Madam Speaker, I now invite.
I'm just sorry, Madam Speaker. You know, I hate to disrupt you, but I'm just looking at 17.3, which says that when all the questions for which an oral answer is required have been called, the Speaker, if time permits, shall call again any question which has not been asked by reason of the absence of the member in whose name it stands. I did see the Prime Minister here today.
But he is the Prime Minister that has a number of urgent matters, and he's not sitting here now. So, indeed, the Minister of Education will answer the questions in his name.
Yes, but I'm still trying to understand subsection 3, Madam Speaker. I mean, it is your call, but it seems curious, Madam Speaker, especially because we have been waiting on these answers for so long.
Member, that I have every respect and regard for you, and indeed it is my call, and I am now allowing the Minister of Information to answer the questions. Minister of Information, will you answer the questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes. Madam Speaker, I know...
Member, do you have copies?
Yes, I do, actually.
Please have them. One of the orders.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I now invite the member to ask questions which are standing in the Prime Minister's name.
Madam Speaker, will the Prime Minister answer the questions that are tabled in my name?
Well, that's very prospective, but I'm not confident of that happening. Madam Speaker.
I'm so sorry, Madam Speaker. You know, it pains me to interrupt again. But at times we've had this discussion about questions and answers. And the truth is it's one of the only privileges that representatives really have in this House to advance issues that concern them. Once a question is asked, that questioner holds a dominant position in terms of the process going forward. So it is that questioner who really ought to approve the extension of time if 21 days have been passed. So, for example, we have had a practice where routinely ministers come and they don't abide by the 21 days. That should only be granted if the questioner agrees to it. That's how strict the standing orders are. And certainly in relation to who answered the question, really the person who asked the question has to be consulted. I don't believe, Madam Speaker, in reading the standing orders that it is just a matter of the Speaker making a determination in light of the absence of the Minister to grant, to ask another Minister the question. I don't believe that that is the purpose for which these, I don't believe that's the correct interpretation for these standing orders.
I am looking for this section which gives the Speaker, just a moment, I want to be fair. Is it that the House is not interested in the answers anymore? I thought the member asking the question was interested in the answers. Are you interested in the answers to the question, or are you interested in a particular person? What is it you're interested in? No, I'm asking the person. I'm speaking with the House leader who just addressed something to me.
Madam Speaker, it is clear that the discretion lies with you, but I think in reading all of the provisions, it is equally clear that the member, the person who asks the question, really ought to be consulted.
Guide me to that section in the standing orders, because I'm not seeing that section.
Madam Speaker, I would suggest that we look at all of the provisions, because it is clear that the intent is to ensure that the questioner, first of all, has a role to play in the timeline for answering questions. And my own interpretation of all the provisions here is that the questioner ought to be consulted in the event that the person to whom the questions have been directed is unable to answer those questions.
And I am saying to you, I am saying to you, member, and I preface all my regards by saying I have a lot of regard and respect for you. However, unless I'm directed to a section which says I do not have the right, I am making the call to say the questions can be answered. And I'm looking also, if you clear with me just a moment, I would like to be directed to it. And indeed, the person in whose name the question stands asked only last week that he was anxious for the answers to be brought. And section 17, manner of asking and answering questions, subsection 9. Let us read it. Let me, questions which have... Question 9, subsection 9 of 17 speaks to exactly what you're saying. And unless it is that the person in whose name the question stands wishes to signify that he doesn't wish to have the questions answered, then that is it. Other than that, my ruling this evening is that the questions be answered by the Minister of Information. Just read it.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
You indicated, if I may, you indicated that Section 17(3) gives permission to the Speaker to assign the answering of a question to another member. My interpretation, not being a legal person, suggests that Section 17(3) only gives that authority to the person who asks the question. It says, when all questions for which an oral answer is required have been called, the Speaker, if time permits, shall call again any question which has not been asked by reason of absence of the member in whose name it stands. The question by reason of absence of the member in whose name it stands, in which case another member may, if deputed by the absent member on his behalf, either ask a question or request its postponement. That's him. The Speaker also shall also call again any questions which have not been answered by reason of the absence of the Minister for whom it is addressed. It does not give permission for another person who may be deputized by the Minister. So unless you can point out, House Speaker, where this authority lies, this section 17(3) does not provide for that.
And I am now referring you to section 17(9), and I now am making a call on the person in whose name the question stands, and it does say the person in who has been called by the Speaker signifies to the Speaker his desire to postpone the question to a later sitting or to withdraw it. I want to ask, just a minute, yes. House Leader, because you have this section in front of you. My ruling this evening is that the questions are to be answered by the Minister of Information, or in the alternative, referring to section 17(9), if the person in whose name the question stands signifies that his desire this evening is to postpone or to withdraw the question. So I am asking if that is the call.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, the answers to the questions have already been distributed to the questioner. No, which means that the question...
Which means you already have the answers.
You already have the answers, so you cannot postpone it, because you already are in possession of the answers.
It's just a point of principle.
I am treating the answers as tabled in Parliament. And if they are now tabled in Parliament, then it stands. We cannot postpone the answer.
Madam Speaker, with the greatest of respect, I do not believe that is a correct interpretation of this very fundamental section. Question time is probably the most important function of the opposition. There's no other function that is as crucial as that, and it gives the questioner ultimate power, and unfortunately not the Speaker, even though you do have the right to interpret. And I'm suggesting, Madam Speaker, that unless the member agrees for postponement, for postponement from the 21 days, for example, if the member agrees for another member to answer, or to postpone the question, the answering, he is the one who makes that determination.
And may I ask Hanchard to refer to the notes, because my recollection is that the minister in whose name the question stood heard that the Minister of Information was answering the question and referred to him. So if Hanchard has that, then he can no longer withdraw. That is my ruling. So ask Hanchard. I indicated that the Minister of Information was answering the questions, and you did as the person who proposed the questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Go ahead.
I don't understand. There's
before,
no, Madam Speaker,
Madam Speaker?
Before
we need to get the confirmation from Hansard.
Just 1 minute. Madam Speaker, additionally, Madam Speaker, the record should show, Madam Speaker, that upon reading the question and answer to questions...
just a moment.
The question acknowledged.
Just a moment, Minister. Certainly, the member in whose name the question stands, you must recall having asked if the answers were there to be circulated. And they were circulated. It is on your quest. You said, where are the answers? They were circulated.
Can I speak? Let me say something. There are two issues here. There are two issues here. I would like the answers, and the country would like the answers. But there is a broader principle of the accountability of a parliament and using the basis of questions to hold a government accountable. And I do not believe you are on strong ground in this view that a member can ask another member to answer questions. I do not believe so. But I would say, I didn't say I'm withdrawing anything. I never said that, so I don't want that to be put in my mouth. But I do not believe you're on strong ground. But the country has waited months for these answers. But there's a broader principle, and I do not believe you have correctly interpreted the standing orders on that very fundamental principle of accountability.
And I respect, like every other member, your views. I am, however, of the view that indeed, when the matter was brought up, you asked if there were answers, were they circulated, and as you said, the important thing is accountability to the nation. The Minister of Information is here with the information, and you will have every opportunity to act as you so please. So my ruling is that the Minister of Information go right ahead. Go ahead, Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, I was just raising a point of order to wonder if...
I just want the Minister to answer the question.
Oh, okay, Madam Speaker.
Go ahead, Minister.
Just want to say, Madam Speaker, the accountability on this side of the government doesn't flow just from the Prime Minister. It consumes all members of Cabinet. So those who only want to assign accountability to the PM.
Point of order. It is on a point of order, Madam Speaker.
What is the point of order?
We have not heard on what basis, where the provision is in the standing orders that allows a minister to whom questions have been directed by a member to defer or delegate or otherwise transfer the obligation of responding them to another member of the government side. That provision has not been brought to our attention. Furthermore, it is not accurate to say that we in any way waived or were complicit in the decision to allow the minister with responsibility for information to answer these questions. The member asked if the questions were ready. We were told yes, and then the next question was, where is the Prime Minister? Is he coming to answer them? We were told no, he's absent, and that this minister would be answering them instead.
Point of order.
And I'm just saying to you, Madam Speaker.
Speaker, on a point of order.
Thank you. And we are not clear that there's any provision in the standing orders to authorize the procedure that you're pursuing, and the point has been made that if that authorization is not permitted by the standing orders, it's a very dangerous precedent that would allow the Prime Minister or any other minister who has a responsibility to answer questions to somehow assign or transfer or otherwise convey that obligation to someone else. That is not consistent with accountability. Supposing there are follow-up questions that we want to ask the minister.
Please allow the leader of the opposition.
Supposing there are follow-up questions that we want to pose to the Prime Minister about this matter. He's not here. He was the one of whom these questions were asked. And to say that the Minister of Information can stand in his stead is really unacceptable to us. And I just want to register my profound objection to it. And I'm sorry that we're going down this road.
Minister, leader of the opposition, maybe your member sitting to your right as your House leader, with a lot of experience in Parliament, will refer you to the customs and practices in this Parliament. I have not been here half as long as he has been, and I have on other occasions heard other ministers answer questions several times for persons in whose name. And I am now saying, and I know, and I am now saying, on your own words, that accountability to this nation is important, and you have waited long and hard for the answers to this question, and I have ruled, and there are ways, and I respect your views, and I ask you to respect mine as a speaker to allow the Minister of Information to answer the question. And you are presupposing that questions that might occur might not be able to be answered by the minister. I think it is only correct that you allow him to proceed. Minister of Information.
Madam Speaker, I do respect your ruling, Madam Speaker, but I just want to reiterate that we have to be careful in the way precedents are established here. And you refer to my longevity in the Parliament. And the fact is that I have never witnessed where, unless approval is granted, that another minister can answer questions that were posed to a particular minister. It has never happened before in my time, and I'm here 25 years, and I just believe that it is not a practice that you want to sanction today, Madam Speaker, with the greatest of respect.
So I ask the person in whose name the question stands, is he asking for the answers to be postponed, or is he withdrawing? And that's all. He did not. When I asked him, his question was, are the answers available? And they were passed to him, and the answers are now tabled in this Parliament, and therefore we have to proceed. Go ahead, Minister.
Thank you. Would the Prime Minister state the following? The total cost of the campaign for Jamaica's candidature for the post of Commonwealth Secretary General, the cost of airfare and accommodation, and the cost of marketing, communications, and public relations for the campaign. Answer. 1A. The total cost of the campaign for Jamaica's candidature for the post of Commonwealth Secretary General is $18,226,775.07. 1B, the cost of airfare and accommodation taken out of that $18 million was $10,395,000. $188.32. The cost of marketing, communications, and public relations for the campaign paid for by the government, extracted from that 18, is $5,182,500. Note, however, Madam Speaker, the difference between the total cost at A and the cost at B and C includes campaign support events such as refreshments, photography services, ground transportation, overtime costs, meals, and COVID tests. Question 2. Would the Prime Minister confirm if Finn Partners provided public relations, media relations, and thought leadership services for Jamaica's candidature for the post of Commonwealth Secretary General? The answer is yes. 3. If the answer to part 2 is in the affirmative, would the Prime Minister state A, by whom was the company engaged? Answer. Members of Corporate Jamaica paid Finn Partners to provide international communication services for Jamaica's candidature for the post of Commonwealth Secretary General. B, what was the duration of the contract? Answer. As stated in public filings by Finn Partners, the contract was for 3 months, the anticipated duration of the Commonwealth Secretary General campaign. C, the amounts paid and payable to the company under the contract. As stated, answer, as stated in public filings made by Finn Partners, the value of the contract was $99,000 US. D, the source of funds to pay the company. Answer, the government is aware that members of Corporate Jamaica paid Finn Partners for their services. The government has received permission from Grace Kennedy Limited, the Musson Group, and Keith Duncan to make the public aware that they contributed to the payment of Finn Partners. Question 4. Would the Prime Minister indicate whether the government of Jamaica received any financial or other support from any government or non-Jamaican entity in connection with Jamaica's candidacy? Answer. No financial or other support was received from any government or non-Jamaican entity in connection with Jamaica's candidature. Question 5. If the answer to 4 is in the affirmative, would the Prime Minister provide the details of such support? Answer is not applicable. Question 6. Would the Prime Minister state how many persons from Jamaica, inclusive of the GOJ delegation, media and non-governmental organizations, traveled to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda at taxpayers' expense? Answer. 16 persons from the government of Jamaica traveled to the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit. From the Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, including members from overseas missions, the Ministry of National Security, and the Jamaica Information Service. Question 7. Would the Prime Minister indicate the total cost of Jamaica's participation at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit in Rwanda? Answer. Delegation costs to attend and participate at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit was absorbed by relevant participating ministries. Office of the Prime Minister, $12,827,897. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, $7,715,585.37. And the Ministry of Tourism, $5,131,386.00. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Minister, I have questions, and I would say I will ask some here, and I reserve the right to ask the Prime Minister questions at a later date. In relation to question 3 about the engagement of Finn Partners, you have indicated who has paid them, but you haven't indicated who actually engaged them. Who pays them is different from, just wait, I have a couple of questions. Who paid them is different from who engaged them. Secondly, related to Finn Partners, you have indicated here that there are 2 companies and an individual who have given you permission to name them publicly. Does that represent the totality of the contributions that were made to cover the expenses of Finn? And how much would each of these individuals or companies contributed? And are there other companies that would have contributed as well who have opted not to be named? You could answer those, and I have some others.
Thank you very much, Member. So the engagement of Finn was done via the public relations firm that was engaged by the government to carry out work on behalf of the government for the candidature. So the management and the processing and all of that in terms of instruction and guidance and assistance, the coordination of that was done by the public relations firm that was engaged by the government through a procurement process to carry out the management of the
Could you indicate the name of that firm?
The public relations firm is PR, etc.
P what?
PR, etc.
A local firm or
a local firm?
So they would
hire. No, hold on. Would you allow me to answer the question? So how it went was, when the Commonwealth candidature came up, there was a recognition in the government that we needed local public relations support, but there is also a recognition as well that we could not afford as a government to give the candidature the amount of support they needed internationally. We had a procurement process where a company won that process. That company was then asked to engage and find out how we could protect the image of the candidacy to ensure that there's a best chance for the candidature to be successful. And that is how that process was managed. The other question that you asked, no, the names I referred to, I do not suspect reflects the total sum, because it is not all the entities that have participated in the engagement of the company who have given us permission to call their names in Parliament. And I think I'm kind of disappointed. Let me tell you why I am. Because a lot of these persons participated because they believed not in the government, not in Kamina Johnson-Smith, but they believed in the candidature, that it was Jamaica's candidature and it would bring significant benefits to our society. But I suspect that a lot of them are saying to themselves, why would we want to get into this controversy where we are legitimate businesses and individuals? We have contributed to opposition conference and opposition activities and government activities. And in this case, we are being dragged through the coals. So I am disappointed, but I'm hopeful that others will want to one day speak about their contribution to this candidature.
Madam Speaker, I don't know who is dragging anybody through the hose. All of us here are subject to public finance regulations. At an individual level, we have to do integrity reports on an annual basis. The principles of accountability, which all of us have to participate in, and we would have been candidates in a general election where we had to declare who contributed to our campaigns, is no different. So I don't want the member to posit this, that we are dragging people through any kind of my terms mud at all. But the reality is, the reason you have that level of accountability is to protect and to safeguard particular interests against having a disproportionate influence on policy, etc. And that is why we have public finance laws and guidelines. But let me ask the minister. You indicated that there was a PR company, PR, etc., I think is the name of the company. So that costing would have been captured on the 1C, the $5.1 million that would have been paid for marketing, communication, and PR for that specific company? Would
no,
that be
the costing that you referred to, and the costing that you referred to does not reflect only the engagement of the PR firm. So, for example, we had to expend some resources to GIS for printing. We had to hire a graphics company for those, the websites and all of those things. We also had to hire a photographer. And there are other costs, minor costs, that came out of that $5 million. So it would not be fair to say that that $5 million was spent on a PR company. That would not be factually correct. What I could do for you is I could give you a breakdown at another time of what the $5 million was used for.
And that, yes, and in fact, I didn't say that the $5 million was the entire cost for the PR firm. I asked if it was included in the $5 million. Can you state in terms of the three that have been named, do you know what percentage of the totality they would have contributed versus other companies which are unnamed?
No, I would not be able to articulate that. No. As I said before, the three have said we could reveal that they contributed, but I would not be able to give you a quantum as to how much each gave.
In relation to the delegation that went to the heads of government meeting in Rwanda, could you state what the objectives of the delegation were and what has been accomplished out of the trip? And I recognize that not everything will be immediately realized when you have such a meeting, but $25 million on a trip to Rwanda is a lot of money, and it's important that the public knows what value the government of Jamaica would have gained from that mission.
Thank you very much, Member. The Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit is one of the most important collectives of states. The Commonwealth comprises currently of 56 member states. Previously, before the last Shagam, it was 54. It comprises not only of former colonies of Britain, but there are also countries such as Rwanda, who were never colonies of Britain. It is probably the third largest collective of countries. It has about over 2 billion people there. Why do I lay that context? During Shagam, Minister Johnson Smith and also the Prime Minister were able to have significant bilateral engagements with countries who we have not had bilateral engagements with for a long time. We were able to reconnect with countries and further discussions on important matters that are to the benefit of the country. For example, the Ministry of Tourism was able to have discussions about the exchange of tourism plans and ideas with the Rwandan government, where there should be an announcement very soon by the Minister of Tourism about significant collaboration between the Rwandans and the Jamaicans. We were also able to further have discussions with some states who we never had relationships before. We had about 26 bilateral meetings. If you would calculate how much it would cost Jamaica to have 26 bilateral meetings with countries such as the Solomon Islands, countries such as Nigeria, countries such as Australia, countries such as New Zealand, countries such as India at the highest level, because most countries sent their heads, their prime ministers there. It would cost significantly more than this delegation cost for the Prime Minister and Minister Johnson Smith to engage countries at such an intimate level. And the other thing we must also remember, that it's not just about talking. A lot of the benefits that come to this Parliament are based on our bilateral relationships with many of these countries. A lot of the vaccines that we got was based on bilateral relationships fomented in the corridors of diplomacy internationally. So when the question is asked, how did Jamaica benefit? I will say that foreign affairs is not a single act. It is a continuing act that requires continued engagement with partners and continued reassurances of our good friendship with them. And I will suggest to you, member, that this engagement that we had has already started giving us benefit as a country. Even if we exclude economic benefit, the fact that we have fermented stronger relationships with our international partners is significant. Thank you. Value for money, yes.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, I'd like the Minister to state who were the entities that funded the Finn Partners contract. You've named 3 here, you claim they've given permission. That's really irrelevant. I want to know who were the parties who funded the contract and how much did each contribute to that, 99,000 US. That's the first question I have.
I answered that question already, Opposition Leader.
Oh, you said?
I gave the answer that I am able to give based on what is on the paper. So you asking it in a different way.
I'm asking a follow-up question. And I'd like you to answer it if you have the information. Or are you saying you don't know?
I have no further information.
You're saying you have no further information. You don't know who funded this contract?
I have no further information to add based on what I have given you previously.
So you only know these 3 persons. You know that they were not the complete source of funds, but you're not disclosing to Parliament after 2 months or whatever the period is who funded the contract. That's what you're telling me? That's what you're telling me? You haven't answered it. You've said there were 3 contributors who contributed part of the money. You haven't said what percentage of the money. You haven't said what percentage of the money they contributed, and you declined to answer who the others were. And I'm asking you, who were the others? Madam Speaker, I'm asking who were the other contributors? And he's smiling and laughing like it's a joke.
Madam Speaker, I have answered the questions to the best of my ability and I have no further information to add.
Madam Speaker, we note that, and I hope the public does as well. What was the procurement, Madam Speaker, what was the procurement policy or what was the process of procurement by which you went through to engage the local PR firm that you say then in turn hired Finn Partners to provide these services? What was the procurement process?
I was about to say that the procurement policy based on the quantum of the amount that is in the answers is very clear. And I trust that you know it as well. But I don't have the document in front of me to read line by line the specificities of the procurement. But what I can say to you, and numerous ATI requests have been sent to the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs asking the same exact question, and the question has been answered. So if you want me to come back with the exact procurement, I have no challenge doing so, but I do not have that in front of me right now.
Madam Speaker, he was the one who said a procurement process was followed to engage this firm out of that 5 million J. I am asking him what that procurement process was. He maintains that ATI he maintains that access to information requests have been made on this matter, and the information has been provided to other persons. But to this Parliament, he's unable to answer what the process of procurement was. Madam Speaker, this is unacceptable.
The leader of opposition knows the procurement guidelines. He has studied it in detail. He knows the quantum at which particular types of procurement are executed. It is not that I have refused to answer the question, but I am not going to allow the leader of the opposition to cause me to speak imprecisely on a matter that is easily researched by Google.
Madam Speaker, the procurement rules are not the issue. I am asking what was the specific procedure followed in this case. I don't know if the procurement rules were followed or not. The minister who answers the question said that a procurement process was followed. I've asked him what it was, and he's evading that question as well.
Madam Speaker, I have nothing further to add to that question. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, it is not contemplated for us. Madam Speaker, it is not.
No, please.
Madam Speaker, will you please ask the member to allow
The House Leader is on her feet.
Madam Speaker, it is not contemplated for us to do any further business today. I therefore ask that the House adjourns until Wednesday, that's tomorrow, September 13, at 2 p.m., and the State of Constituency debate will continue tomorrow. The contributors to the debate tomorrow will be Robert Montague, Member of Parliament, Robert Montague, representing St. Mary Western, Robert Montague CD, and Mr. Robert Miller, representing St. Catherine Southeast.
Members, the question is that this House be adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, the 14th of September at 2 p.m., when it is intended that the debate will continue with two speakers from the side of government, the Honourable Robert Montague and Member of Parliament for St. Catherine, Mr. Miller. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. This House is now adjourned.